90% of everything you own right now crossed an ocean to reach you. Your phone, your clothes, the coffee you drank this morning, all of it moved through a system so massive that it handles over 11 billion tons of cargo every single year. $14 trillion in global trade flows through shipping lanes controlled by people you've never heard of. This is the story of how you climb from the bottom of that system to the very top. Level 1. The courier. You're driving a beat-up van through city traffic. Your phone buzzes every 30 seconds with new delivery notifications. You make $15 to $25 an hour depending on how fast you move. No college degree required, no specialized training, just a driver's license and the ability to follow GPS directions. Most people think this job is temporary, a stepping stone. They're wrong. This is your education. You're learning the skeleton of global logistics. Every package you deliver is the final node in a chain that might have started in a factory in Shenzhen, moved through a port in Long Beach, got sorted in a warehouse in Memphis, and now ends in your hands. You start noticing patterns. Some companies always ship on Tuesdays, some addresses are always commercial, never residential. Rush deliveries pay double but wreck your schedule. You're building mental maps of efficiency that will matter later. 6 months in, you're the fastest driver in your zone. You know which loading docks have easy access and which ones make you wait. You know which routes get jammed at rush hour. Your manager notices. She asks if you want to help with route planning. It's the same hourly pay, but you're in the office now instead of the van. You say yes because sitting in air conditioning sounds better than sweating through another summer. You have no idea you just stepped onto the actual ladder. Level 2, the logistics coordinator. You're making $47 an hour now. Your job is to make sure goods flow smoothly into and out of facilities. You schedule pickups. You coordinate delivery times with trucking companies. When a shipment gets delayed in customs, you're the one who has to explain it to 3 different departments while figuring out how to reroute everything else. The pressure is constant. One mistake cascades through the entire system. You're learning software systems that track inventory across multiple warehouses. You're learning the language of logistics, TEUS, bill of lading, freight class ratings, Incoterms. Every industry has its own dialect, and you're becoming fluent. You take a certification course for Certified Logistics Associate. It costs you $800 and 3 months of studying after work. When you pass, you put those 3 letters on your email signature like they're a medical degree. In this world, they might as well be. The real education happens when things go wrong. A container ship gets stuck in the Suez Canal and suddenly 40 containers that were supposed to arrive next week won't show up for 2 months. You're on the phone with suppliers in Taiwan at 3 a.m. trying to find alternative routes. You're explaining to angry clients why their shipments are delayed. You're learning that global trade is fragile. One accident in Egypt affects a warehouse in Ohio. But here's what nobody tells you about this level. You're starting to see the money. Not your salary, the actual money moving through the system. A single container of electronics might be worth $2 million. The shipping cost is $12,000. The customs fees are another $8,000. Insurance, port fees, inland transportation. Every step generates revenue for someone. You start doing math in your head about what would happen if you control even a tiny piece of this flow. Level 3, the freight forwarder. You don't work for the shipping company anymore, you work for yourself. You started your own freight forwarding business with $600 borrowed from a friend and a promise to Greek shipping companies that you could handle their air freight better than anyone else. That actually happened to a guy named Anthony Leondis in 1970. Today, his company services over 350 ports worldwide and keeps more than 3,500 ships supplied and sailing. Freight forwarders are the middlemen of global shipping. You don't own ships or planes or trucks, but you arrange everything. A manufacturer in Germany needs to get machinery to a buyer in Brazil. You coordinate the whole journey. You book cargo space on ships. You handle customs documentation. You arrange inland transport on both ends. You manage the insurance. You take a percentage of everything. The skill isn't moving boxes. Any idiot can book cargo space. The skill is knowing which carrier actually delivers on time, Which ports are backed up, which customs brokers are competent, and which routes avoid the most problems. You're selling knowledge accumulated from years of watching things go wrong. Your phone rings at all hours because time zones don't exist in your world anymore. A client in Singapore has a problem at 2 in the afternoon, their time, which means you're answering emails at 2 in the morning, yours. Your revenue in year 1 is $90,000. Year 3, $400,000. Year 5, $1.2 million. You're hiring people now. You need specialists who understand dangerous goods regulations. You need customs brokers who can navigate the bureaucracy in 12 different countries. The business scales fast if you don't screw up. And screwing up means someone's $1 million shipment ends up stuck in a port somewhere while demurrage fees pile up at $500 per day. But you're still small. You're handling dozens of shipments. The real players handle thousands. And to get there, you need to understand something most people never see. Level 4. The ship owner. You don't coordinate shipping anymore. You own the ships. Not one ship. A fleet. 20 vessels moving cargo across oceans while you sleep. Each ship cost you anywhere from $20 million to $200 million, depending on size and age. You didn't buy them all at once. You started with one aging container ship purchased with financing from a bank that specialized in maritime assets. The down payment alone was $3 million. You spent 5 years building your freight forwarding business to save that much. Owning ships is a different game entirely. Your revenue isn't a percentage anymore, it's charter rates. Shipping companies pay you $15,000 per day to use your vessel, per day. One ship generates $5.4 million per year if it stays chartered. 20 ships, that's over $100 million in annual revenue. But the costs are staggering. Fuel for a single container ship runs $20,000 per day when oil prices are high. Crew salaries, insurance, port fees, maintenance, repairs. A ship needs dry dock inspection every 5 years. That costs $2 million and takes the vessel out of service for 3 weeks. You're bleeding money while it sits in port getting inspected. The real money comes from timing. When global trade is booming and there aren't enough ships, charter rates spike. During the pandemic shipping chaos, rates hit $30,000 per day. Ship owners made fortunes. When trade slows down, rates collapse. Ships sit idle. You're still paying crew salaries and loan payments while the vessel generates zero revenue. You're gambling on global economic cycles with $100 million assets. And you're competing against families who've been in shipping for 4 generations. Greek shipping dynasties, Norwegian ship owners, Chinese state-backed companies with unlimited financing. They have relationships you'll never have and capital you can't match. Unless you specialize, you focus on a niche nobody else wants. Chemical tankers carrying hazardous materials, refrigerated ships transporting perishables, car carriers moving vehicles. Specialized vessels have less competition and higher margins. You become the expert in one specific type of cargo that requires specific knowledge and specific ships. Level 5, the shipping line executive. The shipping line. You sold your fleet, 20 ships bought by a larger company that needed capacity fast. The sale netted you $200 million after paying off loans and investors. You could retire. Instead, you took a position as regional director at one of the major shipping lines, Maersk or MSC, or one of the other giants that control global container trade. You're managing operations across 50 ports in Asia Pacific. Every delay, every labor dispute, every equipment failure in your region lands on your desk. Typhoons shut down ports in Taiwan. You're rerouting 6 ships and notifying 300 customers about delayed shipments. Port workers strike in Australia. You're negotiating with union leaders while calculating how much each day of shutdown costs. The scale is incomprehensible. MSC operates over 7.2 million TEU of capacity. That's more than 21% of every container ship on Earth. Maersk has 700 ships. These companies move trillions of dollars worth of goods annually. You're a small piece of a massive machine, but your decisions affect global supply chains. Your salary is $800,000. Your bonus can double that if your region hits performance targets. But you're on call constantly. A ship runs aground in the Suez Canal. You're in crisis meetings at 2 a.m. figuring out how to minimize damage. A container falls overboard in rough seas, carrying hazardous materials. You're coordinating with coast guards and environmental agencies across 3 countries. The stress is crushing. Everything is urgent. Everything is critical. Everything affects the bottom line. You're managing 1,000 employees who manage 10,000 more. You're responsible for assets worth billions. One wrong decision, one missed warning sign, one failure to act fast enough, and you're explaining to the board why revenue dropped $50 million this quarter. But you're learning how the real power structure works. The shipping lines don't just move cargo, they shape trade policy. They negotiate with governments. They decide which ports get investment and which ones get bypassed. You're in meetings with ministers and trade officials. You're testifying before regulatory committees. You're helping write the rules that everyone else has to follow. Level 6. The CEO. You run a major logistics conglomerate now, not the biggest, but big enough. $4 billion in annual revenue, operations in 60 countries, 15,000 employees. Your company handles ocean freight, air freight, trucking, warehousing, customs brokerage, the entire supply chain. Carol Tomei ran UPS through the pandemic after spending 24 years at Home Depot. She took over when global shipping was collapsing and rebuilt operations while the world watched. Soren Sko spent 25 years climbing through Maersk before running the whole operation. These positions take decades to reach. You're making decisions that affect millions of shipments. You're acquiring smaller companies to expand market share. You're investing hundreds of millions in new technology, automated warehouses, AI-powered logistics software, blockchain tracking systems. You're negotiating contracts worth billions with manufacturers who need guaranteed shipping capacity. But here's what nobody tells you about this level. You're not actually in control. Market forces are trade wars between countries, fuel price shocks, climate regulations, labor shortages, port congestion, pandemic lockdowns. Any of these can destroy profitability overnight, and there's nothing you can do except react faster than competitors. The container shipping market is projected to grow from $119 billion in 2025 to $142 billion by 2031. That growth goes to whoever adapts fastest, whoever invests in the right technology, whoever secures the best port access, whoever builds the most efficient networks. You're 70 hours a week in meetings and flights and negotiations. You haven't taken a real vacation in 4 years. Your family barely knows you, but you're steering an operation that facilitates billions in global trade. 90% of world trade moves by ship, and you control a tiny but crucial piece of that flow. Somewhere right now, a 22-year-old is filling out an application for a courier position. They think it's just a job driving packages around town. They have no idea they're stepping onto the first rung of a ladder that could lead here. Most of them will never climb past level 2, but some will. They always do. On information, timing, and the on information, timing, and the willingness to bet everything on your ability to move goods better than the next person. That courier van might be where you start, but it doesn't have to be where you end.